I'm Ann Moss, and I'm the only blonde in school. It's not just about the color of my hair, it's about my reputation. At school, I was always thought to be the dumbest, but I wasn't expelled because my father is a famous surgeon, and he made a big donation to the school. I was then appointed as class monitor. This was supposed to be some kind of privilege, but it turned out to be exactly the opposite. The thing is, my mother, seeing how hard my father worked, always wanted to make sure that I didn't study medicine. Your future is in the economy or something like that. What's wrong with working in a warm office and not hanging around the heart surgery department like your father? You're right, Mom, I said in a sad voice. You'll grow up and become an economist. I've already chosen a new school and university because the last school was too hard for you. I understand it's hard to be the daughter of a celebrity like your father, but that means you have to work harder. I don't have to follow his footsteps, I know, Mom. Yes, I always wanted to be in finance. Oh, it's so exciting. Oh, I wish I had those years back. Well, that's what I'm here for. I can make your dream come true, right? That's right, honey. Let's go. Today's the first day. My mom never asked me what I wanted. Studying gave me a hard time. Well, not really. I just had no desire to go to any math school. I was interested in other things. After a generous donation, I was immediately introduced to the class by the new head teacher. I took someone else's place, Marcus Foster's. He was the smartest nerd in the class, a school that loved the smartest and had the best minds of all the other high schools. He had the audacity to calculate on-the-fly million-dollar numbers, multiply, divide with mental arithmetic. I got stuck in the second grade at the last school, never made it, and then I stopped going altogether. Then my mom took the paperwork herself and transferred me here. After my mom left with the principal, Marcus Foster came up to me, and he posed, folded his arms across his chest, and asked, "You don't look like a student who likes to count." I remained silent. Am I right? As always, though. He pulled his glasses up and said, "You took my place, Blondie. I don't give my place away for anything you know." I was silent again, then he asked, "Are you deaf and dumb?" "Yeah. Do you even know trigonometry? Do you know what that is?" I was silent. "Yeah, waiting for an answer from you is equal to pi." "Ah-ha-ha," came the laughter from my new classmates. They all looked down on me with contempt. I'm sure it would have been the opposite at any other school, but I had no right to choose my life with a mom like that. Secretly after school, I ran to my dad's office in a hurry. Most of all, I loved the emergency room. I often saw miracles happen right before my eyes. People were brought in who were on the verge of life and death, and my father often took the lives of patients from the clutches of the otherworldly world. That was a miracle for me. I made great friends with the interns there, and they were the ones who taught me first aid skills. Dad knew he had me there, but he often didn't have time to pay attention to me, so the interns would take care of me. They gave me children's encyclopedias, and I saw real people with horrible injuries. Open fractures, cardiac arrest, stroke, heart attack, skin problems, being hit in a car accident, and more. I've been in the ER my entire conscious life, and once, when I went there once again, a patient was brought in. A girl was unconscious. Almost all the doctors were busy, and of the interns, there was only a newbie. And this was his first patient. I couldn't stand and watch, so I examined her carefully. I noticed a swelling behind her ears, in the area of her throat. Her pulse and breathing were normal. I asked her mother about allergies, what she might be allergic to, and her mother said in tears that her daughter had eaten peanut butter paste. At this time, her vitals got worse, and the girl stopped breathing. "Urgently, get an enema, activated charcoal, and get a doctor." "What?" I said quickly. He ran off and found what I'd asked him for. At this time, I climbed on top of her, injected powerful antihistamines, and began to do direct heart massage until the doctor arrived. The girl was saved. She was breathing. Her mother thanked me, and afterward, the rumor spread all over the hospital. I asked my father not to tell my mother, and he understood why. After that, I started coming to the hospital more often to help out. All the staff already knew me, and everyone predicted my career as a doctor. But not my mother. After happy hours with my father at work, I would go home where my economics tutor was already waiting for me with my mother. And in the morning, I would go to school, where I was considered blonde inside and out. "Hey, Blondie, it's a test today. Are you going to pass or are you going to ask me to cheat?" I didn't say anything. I always didn't say anything. Yeah, I can't imagine how hard it is for you to be the head student that no one accepts. Everyone listens to me. I guess being stupid is your destiny. What did you call me? Oh, did you say something? Like, you called me stupid? And now I'm scared. I walked up close to him and looked him right in the eye. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to argue, that's all. But that doesn't mean I agree with your opinion. He stepped lightly on my foot, and I noticed something strange. Marcus kept saying something to me, and then he bent down sharply and started massaging his legs. Your limbs are really swollen. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're saying, dumbass. Ow! I took his face in my hands and began to examine it. Get your hands off me or you'll infect me with your stupidity. Did you have a leg injury? What? Did you or didn't you? Answer me. Then another classmate came forward. Yes, his leg was broken 2 years ago. Since then, he's been complaining of frequent pain in his legs. After a couple of minutes, the swelling started to increase, and there was a purple reticulation on his legs. Call an ambulance! Marcus didn't have time to regain consciousness before he fell to the floor and started holding his legs and screaming in pain. Everyone was frightened, asking what was wrong. Marcus, can you hear me? It hurts. I don't know. God, what's wrong with him? An ambulance is on its way. It looks like he has deep vein thrombosis. I'm gonna give him a shot of NSAIDs. Give me your purse. I gave Marcus the shot. What did you inject me with, you idiot? You won't be in so much pain until the ambulance arrives. Lie on your back and stretch out your legs. Everybody stand back, open the windows. What will they do to him? We can confirm the diagnosis with ultrasound Doppler. We'll have to measure his D-dimer level and schedule an additional exam. By this time, the ambulance had arrived. They asked what was wrong with him, and I gave a rough diagnosis. You're the doctor's daughter. I recognize you. Did you give him NSAIDs? Yes, go immediately. Otherwise, a pulmonary embolism is unavoidable. Marcus was taken away, and I called his parents, taking the phone number from my other classmates. After that, everyone looked at me with fear and curiosity. And then the same classmate came up and asked me how I knew so much. My father, he's a doctor. I called Marcus's parents yesterday. Thanks to you, they were able to diagnose him faster. They gave him treatment, but I don't know how. They said he needed some medicine. Yes, they'll relieve his symptoms and prevent relapse. They'll give him analgesics, and the main thing is to not prolong it or there will be a risk of hemorrhage complications. But how do you know all this? Only then did I notice that I was standing in the middle of the class, and everyone was staring at me in wonder. I told you my dad's a doctor. I'm sorry, I'm so embarrassed for all of us. You're just judging me because I'm blonde. And yes, I don't understand anything about your stuff, but I know a lot about who of you are sick. By the way, you have frequent shortness of breath and dizziness. I suggest you see a cardiologist. You're only 14 years old. Treatment is more effective when you're young. At that moment, I turned around and saw my mom behind me. It turned out that she'd come to me to ask me what happened there in the first place. Naturally, we had a long conversation, both her and my dad. Dad praised me, telling me I was a genius and born to be a doctor. Mom was upset, but then I invited her to watch me work outside of school, and she admired me. 2 months later, I transferred to medical school, where I became the best student in my class. As for Marcus, he came to me with apologies and flowers. I'm sorry, I'm really ashamed. You saved my life. I thought I was troubled by an old injury. I didn't even tell my parents. Forget it. You need exercise. Do you work out? Yes, thank you. How about we go for a walk together? You okay? Come on, nerd. Come on, doc, he countered. Let's go. We became friends after that, and we're still in touch.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle, and I can boast of the thinnest waist in the world. Well, okay, if not the most, but definitely one of them. Now you will hear for yourself how it happened. Keep listening and watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. I am also waiting for your comments under the video. I grew up as an ordinary girl, a little plump for my height and age. In principle, everything was fine with me, until one of my classmates insulted me. I was about 12 years old at the time, and I remember him coming up to me and saying something like, "Hey, fat girl, step aside." I was so upset. It was a blow because I had never thought about my figure before, much less thought that I was fat. It was even more insulting to hear him say it, because I liked him. By the way, yes, this is how my poor, fragile heart broke. From that very moment, I set myself to improve, to work on myself. In an interesting magazine, I saw a photo shoot of models. They advertised underwear, and I liked one beautiful corset. It looked delicious. Black fabric with a little ruffle, ribbon bows, everything looked so expensive and elegant. I wanted to wear something like this. I saved up my money and bought something like this. Mine, of course, was 10 times cheaper, but it was also black. I ran home and tried to put it on. To be honest, it wasn't the first time I did it, and when I did, I couldn't breathe. It seemed to me that all my internal organs were lifted up and someone was squeezing my stomach hard from behind. I've never experienced such discomfort before. I also couldn't hunch over like I usually did. The corset held my posture. This was also a huge plus for it. But I wanted to take it off. I was dying of pain in my back and stomach. I couldn't even eat properly because of the inconvenience, but I wasn't going to give up. I wore the corset everywhere, not taking it off even at night, and kept to a diet, refused sweets or gluten. With each passing week, the discomfort became less and less. I took off the corset only to wash it, that is for 20 minutes a day, and then put it back on again. My back straightened, the pain decreased, and everywhere, I felt light and healthy. So it took a couple of months, and then I was surprised to notice that I had lost weight. The corset was a little loose in the abdominal area, and that was my victory. What did I do next? I went and bought another corset, a little narrower, firmer, more beautiful. I did not spare the money when I saw that they work. My goal was now not just to lose weight, but to have the thinnest waist in the class. By the way, there was another girl in my class whose name was Lauret. She was the thinnest in the class, and her belly was about 55 centimeters at the waist, and I planned to beat her figure, to reduce to 50 centimeters. I knew it would be difficult, and I would probably have to pull the corset down again, but I wanted so badly to rub that goat's nose so that he would once and for all remember me as the slimmest girl in the class. Well, it was said and done. Every month, I tightened the corset by 3 to 4 centimeters, and after about a year, my waist became straight aspen. I remember standing in front of the mirror, taking a measuring tape and wrapping it around my waist, and there was the cherished 50 centimeters. I did it! I became the thinnest girl in my class. During this time, I had changed corsets about 8 times. I continued to diet, to stretch more, and after the holidays, I came to school in a new dress with my favorite corset underneath. Everyone looked at me in surprise, and I was so pleased with myself. I walked up with my slender figure to the classmate who insulted me by calling me fat once, and smiled at him. He stood there in a daze for a while, and then he said that I was no longer fat, I was now sick in the head. Can you imagine? I could have bitten him for saying that. He enraged me. All the pain, torment, and dieting spilled out at that moment in a great aggression. I attacked him like a wild cat, scratched his face, kicked him in the knees and ribs, pulled out the hair on his head like petals from a daisy. And I shouted loudly. I don't remember what, maybe even cursed. The teacher stopped me. She grabbed me and led me to the principal's office. There I told him everything as it was. All the revelations came out of me, along with tears. The principal listened to me for a long time, and then called the boy to her office. His name was Austin. He came in, sidestepping me a little, sat down cautiously in the chair next to me, and asked what they wanted from him. The director said that he was not behaving like a real man, then explained that he had no right to insult me and call me names, especially after I had done so much work on myself. Her actions deserve respect, and what else can you show us besides insults? The principal asked. But Austin stared sadly at the floor, said nothing at first, and then turned to me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't want to forgive him, but I knew I had to put an end to it. I told him to get lost, and then I got up and went to class. About 6 days passed since that day. Austin came up to me again, and he asked me where I lived, and I was surprised, but he said he wanted to apologize properly. In general, in the evening, I was waiting for a basket with flowers and fruit, and inside it was a nice note like, "Sorry again." It was a beautiful gesture, but it wasn't enough. The next day at school, he came up to me and asked me to go to the movies, and I thought, why not? After all, he might be making amends like this. I went to a movie with him, then to a cafe, and we walked home. To be honest, I was still mad at Austin, but at the same time, something else was beginning to stir inside, but it wasn't anger. Not at all. At school, Austin would offer to carry my bag, sit next to me at lunch. Sometimes we would even walk home together after class, and he would still come in the evenings. And when we were friends, on one of the walks, I told him that we should stop. Stop what? What is it? He asked me. I'm not mad at you anymore. You don't have to arrange walks, movies, coffees. I'm not mad anymore. You're a good guy, I said. Austin stiffened visibly. He stopped, stood in front of me, and said he didn't do it for that at all. Then for what? I asked, and he kissed me. At first, I was very surprised. I wanted to push him away, hit him. But then I realized that I also somehow wanted this. After a couple of minutes, he apologized for calling me names again. I always liked you, in any way with any parameters, and I do not know why I hurt you then, but I did not want to hurt you. And then when I saw you different, transformed, I was even more confused, he said. He kept saying something, but I still couldn't believe what he was saying at all. Wait, what? So you liked me and that's why you said something nasty? I asked. He looked down at the floor again and nodded. At first, I was very angry again, and then I thought about it and realized that it was really only because of that situation that I saw myself on the other side, stronger in spirit, body, and mind. I proved to myself that I can work on myself in spite of ridicule, talk, or rumors. I did not care at all what they say. I aimed for my goal and got it, and it proved to me what I can do. So what happened next to us? Austin and I started dating. He signed up for a gym to work up his abs. Don't think I put him up to it. He himself decided that for a girl with a perfect figure, then he should be a guy like that. I, by the way, also signed up for sports. I'm on the right diet and have already taken off my corset. I don't need it now. It turns out that I can adjust my figure without it. I continue to feel great, love my body and myself, and I noticed that people around me began to treat me in the same way. People feel your confidence and reach out to the strong. So I advise you, before you start working on your body, first work on your inner state, and specifically on your thoughts and attitude towards yourself. Then and only then, the right people will reach out to you and you will have a healthy mind, body, brain, and everything else. Well, you get it. Now tell me, are you satisfied with yourself? What would you like to change and why?